everybody. My next guest is a Brentwood legend and alumni and Super Bowl champion, the Green Bay Packers offensive tackle and Suffolk Sports Hall of Famer, class of 2015. And his autobiography, Reflections of a Champion, is available on Amazon and wherever you buy books. Here he is, folks. Brentwood's own number 68, Gary Brown. Gary, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, John. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be on your show. Thank you.
Dude, this is yeah, man, I'm doing great, and this is so awesome to have you here on the show because I'm a Brentwood guy. Repping my Brentwood colors here. Even got the Indian on there, which is soon to be a thing
Can
of
you
the
believe that?
past. Yeah, that's crazy. I definitely want to get into that with you, but also, dude, we graduated the same year in 1989. What were you, the Sonderling side or something? Because I was Ross.
You were Ross. I was Sonderling, but I spent time in both. Some of my good friends are from the Ross, Kenny Solomon and Carl Green and those guys. I still
Dude,
speak to them to this day, and those are my boys.
you said their names and I got goosebumps. I go back to kindergarten with Carl Green and Kenny Solomon,
Oh, wow.
John
Yeah,
Fantuzzi.
you're a South Brentwood guy?
Yeah, South. Yep, yep. I went
Nice, nice.
to South Junior High, 10th grade center, then over to Ross. Grew up with all those dudes. John Fantuzzi, yeah, he was at like my 5th birthday party when we were like little kids. So, I know you were part of that football team, that Brentwood football team that year, and man, that was a fun run. I forget how we did, but I just remember knowing all you guys and watching those games, and it was blast.
We weren't that good, but I'm a strong believer in you got to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. You know.
True.
And got to do it with style and do it with class because you got to be very humble when you're getting your butt kicked out there.
You guys always did it right, and yeah, man, I got you in the yearbook. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but uh,
Mm.
but yeah, I got you in the yearbook in here. My camera's a little weird, but
Yeah, you got the filter on. I see it. Bottom
yeah,
left.
I'll show it. Yeah, I'll show it more in the in post. I'll get to, yeah, there you are, right there, and
Gotcha.
and I'll show you me real quick. Um, yeah, because like I never realized that we graduated the same year. Through all these years, I never checked the stats,
Yeah.
so to speak. But where am I here? Yeah, okay. So I'm back in those days. I had very long hair. I don't know if you'll even be able to see me with this, but there I am, right there. See me right next to right there.
There. Yes. Oh my. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was the era of big hair. We were that was the era we were in.
So we probably passed through the hallways together a few times, and it was probably pretty awesome. But yeah, man, Brentwood it was a great time to grow up, and we graduated, if you remember, 89. Newsday, we were the high school of the year.
I rub that in everybody's face because I deal with a lot of people from different school districts now. Just business, and I'm like, in 1989 when I graduated, Brentwood was high school of the year for Newsday. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yes, really. And I said, we could check the stats if you want. That's the kind of place that Brentwood is. Brentwood's very special to me, and I rep it everywhere I go. To be honest, I've played, and we'll get into it, but I've played overseas and all over Europe, all over Canada, even winning the Super Bowl. When you get the reporters and they say, Gary, you're from New York. And I always correct them, no, I'm from Brentwood, New York. And make
Right
sure
on, man.
Brentwood is in there because I'm proud of that. I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't grow up in Brentwood.
Dude, there is I don't know if every town is quite the same as the Pride, but Brentwood guys, Brentwood people, guys, girls, whatever. We have such a pride for Brentwood that we don't just say, "Yeah, I'm from Brentwood,"
Right.
yeah. So there's something special, and it's when guys like you who kind of make it to the next levels, and you remember where you're from, is that kind of makes it extra special when we see you say, "No, I'm from Brentwood." You get that man. This dude's he's the real deal, man.
Wear it on my sleeve. Wear it on my sleeve. And good or bad, you got to be proud of what you do, what you've done, and the roads that you've traveled because it makes you who you are. and some people kind of shy away and don't want to be known for Brentwood, and I'm like, that's the wrong thing, because as well as I do, the news is the news, and bad news travels a lot faster than good news. There's a lot of good things that come out of Brentwood.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be honest with you, I did an autograph signing in Jersey one time, and this lady came up to me and she was like, "I wish my husband was here. He's your biggest fan." And she got tears in her eyes. And I'm like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yes, him and his best friend are from Brentwood. And they're like two of America's top neuroscientists or something like that. And
Wow.
they're Brentwood alumni." And I'm like, "You don't hear about that in the news. But God
Right.
forbid, something bad happens, it'll travel faster than lightning all over the country. So that for that reason and reasons like that is where I make sure people, no matter what setting I'm in, whether I'm in the outhouse or the White House, I'm from Brentwood.
Right, right on, man. And I'm the same way, man. I'm always like, uh repping Brentwood every chance I can. My daughter still goes to Brentwood schools.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm always that's why I'm wearing this. On the back it says cheer dad, so I go to her cheerleading competitions and stuff like that. Um so yeah, so it's crazy because I've been gone. I moved around a bit, and then when I came, my daughter stayed, with her mom. And when I came back to be walking those hallways still and going to the same, the football field to watch the games where she's cheerleading at and all that stuff, it's surreal.
Yeah, I try and check out a couple of games, and when they let me know what's going on, I'm really big into. I go watch my niece. She's like the manager of the junior high team now
Oh,
because
nice,
she's
man.
too young to play. They won't let her play in sixth grade, but they'll let her manage. So she's the manager. So I go support and do that. But I love going there. I still do my football camps at Brentwood High School over the summer, and I do it
Nice.
free for all the kids. Because I don't want a financial burden to separate whether you could come to my camp or not.
Wow.
Um, Truthfully, it's just been an array of mentors and other people that, whether they sponsored me or helped me or guided me, every year there's a different aspect of somebody that helped me get to achieving those levels of what I achieved. And the only way I could pay homage is to try and be there for the other kids, and that's what I try and do.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, to be able to give back and help other kids, because you don't know, these could be future stars. These could be, Super Bowl champions in their own right someday. And and to be a part of that and help these kids grow says a lot about you, and says a lot about, the kind of loyalty you have to Brentwood and to just kids in general coming up.
Yeah, I think we get that from being from Brentwood. You know what I mean? I've never one day ever charged for an autograph, not a nickel, not a dime. I may have a donation jar. Those donations go back to a nonprofit of whatever, but I I'm honored, you know what I mean? Because I tell every kid that this means when you make it famous, I want a free autograph. Don't charge me later, and I
Right.
gave you one. It's you give back the way you received. So it's a lesson I try and teach kids, and I try and hopefully be a part of somebody doing something good.
Excellent, man. Yeah, and Brentwood, like you said, a lot of good does come out of Brentwood. We have a lot of names that came out of here. Of course, EPMD, Buddy McGirt, Craig Mack, you, and now Lester Quinones from
Yes.
the Golden State Warriors. He's the youngest one. Now he's coming up and you know making a name for himself. So yeah, Brentwood keeps putting them out there, man.
Yeah, and there's some more. There's a lot more actually in the soccer arena and a few tennis that if not pro, very close, and they're doing very well. And they owe, I believe they owe it to their toughness, their mental toughness, their fortitude, and how they fight through that grit is being from Brentwood. I don't think we're not better, we're not worse, we're just cut a little bit different. And I feel the same way about a New Yorker. When I'm out of state, we're not better, we're not worse. We're just, a little bit different.
Right on, man. And yeah, I mean, being a Brentwood Indian alumni, to see what's going on with Brentwood, with and a lot of teams here on Long Island, a lot of schools have to change their mascots because the American Indians. Some people might not realize how much we look to the American Indian as as a heroic figure, as a great strong figure. If you look at on my sleeve, it doesn't look. Let me make sure that we could see it good here. Uh, it's not like a funny looking American Indian. It's very
Yeah.
stoic, and I think everybody who's ever worn the Indian wears it with pride.
Yes.
Um, what's your take on it now that's being changed? I think it's in the process now. I just wanted to get your take on it as an alumni.
I think we overthink things as a society, and no matter what you change it to or what's going on, someone's going to have a problem with it. So if that's the case, why not leave it be for the people who haven't, I take pride in being an Indian, and no disrespect to the natives, and no disrespect to what some people are trying to do, but also know that it's not a disrespectful thing. It's a prideful thing. If I could have somebody represent me in a proud, prideful way, I would respect that, because you know what? Instead of taking it out, let's get more history. Let's make it known and make it, a actual and factual reason why you're repping that, and that may be able something that could change the game. But in today's society, everything is offensive. Everything is, and I'm not disrespecting anybody. And I'm not talking down on anybody, but no matter what you change it to, you're going to offend somebody. So, I don't think when it was brought up to be our alma mater, it was brought up to be disrespectful or distasteful. And I think that the school districts always handle it with pride and always repped it with pride. And, um, even just the name Brentwood, you got to have pride in it, because other people will disrespect it if you don't. So I believe the name Brentwood and the Indian kind of can kind of resemble, or each other, just because of how it's looked at from people that's not from Brentwood, or that's not Native American, or not Indian. So
Right. Yeah.
there's always two sides to every coin, and I never wanted to offend. I never wanted to bother anybody. But if you could take the good and not just focus on the bad, it might change people's mind.
Right on, and that's what I think that the most of it was always with good intentions. It was always good. I don't remember a time. It wasn't until this whole thing happened where the Indian was looked upon as like a mockery or anything less than what we had pride in that logo. We had pride in being a Brentwood Indian. So I know a lot of people were kind of up in arms, against doing this. I know a lot of Brentwood people are not happy that we have to change all of that. But, and they're doing it in three phases. First, they wanted suggestions from the community, then they're going to have a vote, and then they have a logo contest. So, do you have any names that you would, if you had to,
And there's going
since
to
we
be a
have to,
and there's going to be a problem with all of it, no matter what. Somebody, as simple as it sounds, and as much as you try to appease, you can't. It's just not possible. There's always going to be somebody. No, you can't do that. That's disrespectful to this or disrespectful to that. Um, I think the name, as long as Brentwood is on there, I think it's strong enough. You know what I mean?
right,
You can call us the Brentwood, whatever. I believe the power comes in being raised in that neighborhood and being raised in that community, and having the same but different struggles as everybody else and coming out successful is what make Brentwood Brentwood. And you could use that for bad or you could use that for good. You choose to use it for good. It doesn't matter what the mascot is. It doesn't matter what the name changes to. You're gonna rep Brentwood to the fullest, like people have done in the past and people are gonna do in the future. I think we are a force to be reckoned with when we get our stuff together, when we get our act together, because school boards and there's school districts that teach what the high school sports are doing at a young age, and kids grow into the high school sport, whatever the sport may be. And it's not the case in Brentwood.
Right.
Pop Warner is teaching something different than elementary. Elementary is teaching something different than junior high. Junior high is teaching something. When you get to high school, everything you learn, you got to throw out the window and start all over. So you're pressing the reset button every year. So you're not growing with the sport, or
Right.
you are, but at a slower pace. If we get our stuff together and start, you know, sitting down, having the conversations, and it's not about winning and losing. It's about improving the program and improving the kids to grow. Never mind all the politics, never mind the religion, never mind everything else that's going on. If you just put the kids first, it will change everything.
Wow.
And if you have that mindset, when you will sit down in these board meetings or sports meetings and stuff, you may look at things that's a little bit different and be like, you know what, this is not that important. If it's going to benefit the kid, maybe we can do it this way, or I'm open to change or open to doing things different. And that's kind of the message that I try and bring to the kids, and let them know it's not their fault, and what their job is, not to complain, not to pick out the bad things, but whatever is asked of you, you do it to the best of your ability, because that's the only way you're going to get better. And truthfully, we learn life lessons at an early age from Brentwood, dealing with things like that and dealing with
Right.
facts and nuances. It's getting you ready for the world, and because it's going to come at you 10 times faster and stronger. So the early at an age that you're able to handle disappointment or things not going your way, the better prepared you're going to be.
Right on. And to your point, there is something to be learned within failure, and how to and like you said earlier about Brentwood football team back in the day, you have to learn how to lose in order to know how to win. And I think that those kind of lessons are what the kids need to hear more of, because so many times when people fall or they fail or what have you, that they easily can give up. And you're a great um example of, your story is very inspiring. You came up through Brentwood. You worked pretty hard for everything you have.
Yeah. I was never, my lesson, like when I talk to the kids, for one, I just talk truth. I don't talk about what I heard. I don't talk about what I read. I don't cliche people to death. You know what? It may not work for you, but I'm gonna tell you what worked for me. And I wasn't the best. I enjoyed basketball more than football, and I sat the bench behind John Vantuzzi. I was starting pitcher, I was starting quarterback, I was starting center. And he was a great athlete, but I wanted to play, and I took that with pride. When I got in a game, I'm like, my mentality was, I'm going to improve the game. I'm going to do what he doesn't do. I'm going to make sure I rebound every ball, do the little things that count, that matter. And that kind of built me to the person that I am. Um, I wasn't the best at any sport. And my lesson to the kids are, if I wasn't the best football player, basketball player, baseball player, track runner, whatever I played, if I wasn't the best, and there was people better than me that had the same goal of making it to the NBA, the NFL, whatever. What happened? What changed that I made it and they didn't, and they already had an upper hand on me. And it's about being resilient, and it's about not accepting the role you're in for your lifetime role. It's about always trying to do better. And my dad instilled that in me. My dad was a blue collar, hardworking man, who always worked his butt off, and he patted me on the back, good game or bad. Actually, when I had a bad game, he would, you know, pat me on the back and be like, "That's all right. You're gonna get better, and you're gonna do better next time." But when I thought I had a good game, that's when he pointed out, yeah, you think you did good? Well, you could have did this better. You could have did that better.
Right.
So
Right.
it was always about improving, always about being the best version of myself I can be. And when you take that and start doing that as a kid, when you start getting older, the challenges start getting bigger, and the rewards start getting bigger. And my whole NFL career came to me as a surprise. When I finished high school, I might have had a couple of Division III schools interested in me, I decided to go to Nassau Community College, which was like a Division 1 because those guys were good over there. But
Right. Yeah.
from there, I quickly went from my mother's house as a boy and left Nassau as a young man, because I had to grow so much just to keep up, just to be a part of what they were already doing. And that's another form of a mentor to me. So um, being last and being behind is not necessarily a bad thing. It's about your work ethic and improving. And if you can put forth the best foot every day, you're gonna get better, no matter what. You're gonna get better, and that's the kind of attitude that I went at it with. If he can do it, I can do it, and that's the way I attack everything in life. If that man can do it, I can do it. He's no better than me. He may be better than me athletically, talent wise, but he will not outwork me. He will not outwork me. And I'll tell you another one, John Randall from the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
He is a force to be reckoned with. He goes 110 miles an hour, whether he's up by 40 points or down by 40 points. Every play to the last play. He's never going to quit. And the minute you ease up, he will knock you in your butt. And I'm like, I really enjoyed playing against him because I knew it wasn't anybody else in the stadium. It was me and him. And I
Right.
have this thing where I'm going to try and make you quit. And I'm never going to quit. And so we battled. And at the end of the game, we shook hands and said, I'll see you next time. Can't wait, And that's how it works. And I got that because I'm built from Brentwood, and
Right
he's
on.
built from the same kind of gritty, didn't have much growing up. He has a bunch of brothers and sisters that lived in a one-bedroom house. And that's where he's from. And that's what made him who he is. So embrace it. You don't have to have a silver spoon in your mouth to make it. Hard work overcomes a lot of adversity.
Hard work, and I mean it's a testament to all you've achieved, and it's so inspiring, and like you said, it's hard work, having that mindset that I'm not going to quit. I'm going to work. I'm going to outwork this guy because there is, and the most frustrating thing is when you see a guy who is just naturally gifted. He's just fast, got the right height. He's just, got all the accrement for an athlete, but he's lazy. That's just the worst. I mean, for guys like you and for me who have to work for everything and work hard for it, to see a guy who kind of has the gifts that he's been blessed with to just be like lazy and take it for granted is so frustrating.
I saw a lot of that, like as you go up in levels. So Nassau was a bunch of hungry dogs, They're guys that didn't have the grades, they had the athletic ability, they had the talent. Everybody was a superstar where they come from. But then you get on that playing field with a bunch of superstars. There's superstars that are more superstars than others, and the competition is there. Game on, let's go. Our practices were harder than most of our games because everybody competed every down. And if you were weak, you weren't going to make the team. And they're not going to cut you. You're going to quit before anybody has to tell you to leave. And I enjoyed that. And then when I went to Georgia Tech, and I'm like, this is your weight room? This is your locker room? You got 50,000 people that know my name? Oh my God, this is amazing. And then guys wouldn't take advantage of it. And I'm like, I wanted to lift more weights. I wanted to run harder. I wanted to take advantage of all this because I left Nassau where our weight room was, two flat benches and a couple of, you know,
Right.
so some metal weights, and that was we had Georgia Tech stamped on every metal weight throughout our weight room was bigger than most regular gyms. Planet Fitness has nothing on what our weight room looked like, and it was just in awe. And then the guys that rank this in the state, rank that in the country, were like, nah, I'm gonna go do this instead of do that. It was like I know a bunch of hungry dogs that one are just as talented and will work 10 times harder than you just for the opportunity to have a dorm room and to be able to go to class under a scholarship. and you have all of this and you're not taking advantage of it. So, I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
And in time, it weeds people out. And I don't want to say the strong survive, but I don't really do religion and politics in my nonprofit, but God helps those that help themselves. You can't sit back on their bed and be like, no, I'm not taking that job. I'm waiting to get lucky. No, I'm not doing that. That's too little for me. I need to make more money. You don't get a job. You don't get lucky that way. You get lucky by putting yourself in position to be lucky. And the way you put yourself in position to be lucky is to work your butt off and be the best version of yourself you can be. That's where luck comes in. That's where blessings come. Sitting back waiting for it, you don't deserve it.
true indeed. True words, man. And going from Nassau Community to Georgia Tech, that alone must have felt like going to the pros in a way. Because I worked for NC State for a little while. I did video work for the video boards, and I worked for NC State football and basketball, and those weight rooms were impressive as well. And the way those guys get ushered around, and they get treated very well, the athletes. So I would assume it's different from the community college, going from that to all of a sudden you're in Georgia Tech, and now, like you said, you got 50,000 kids. Everybody knows you. The games are huge, all televised, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, going to Nassau, I was driving, if I catch it before traffic, about 30 minutes. If I get caught in traffic, it could be easily an hour and a half to get to the class. And then, having to go to class and take a nap in the car between classes or before practice, and we didn't have a mess hall. We went to Roy Rogers to get something to eat and before, or go get a dollar slice of pizza, depending on your budget that week. But that's the stuff we did. But then you go to Nassau Community, where, like I said, you have the weight room, you have the mess hall where you know you got steak and you got lobster and you got a full spread of, oh, you need to gain weight, this is what you need to eat. You need to lose weight, this is what you need to eat. But you had those options. We didn't have that at Nassau, and you know I do think I needed that. I know I needed Nassau because if I happened to be good enough in college, I mean at high school, to get a Division I scholarship, I probably would have ruined it my first year because leaving my mom's house, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for something like that. I wasn't mature enough mentally, emotionally, socially. So having to drive that grind in and out and make things work and leaving the house at 7, 6 in the morning and come home after practice at 6 at night to have to study and do homework and all of these things kind of got me ready to go on to the next level where when I got there, I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm going to go to my dorm room and I'm going to put in an hour or two before I hang out with the guys or go to do this event or that event. So I'm very thankful for Nassau. Everybody's different, every kid is different. But for me, I needed to mature more, and Nassau gave me that maturity, and it got me to the point where I appreciated going to Georgia Tech. Yes, it was like, Mama, look, I made it. I'm at Georgia Tech, and these are the stadium. This is the fans. This is the game. I get sweats with my logo name on it with the logo. Like
Yeah.
that was my NFL, and like I said, everything came to me by surprise. I after Brentwood, I worked my butt off. Bad Division threes wanted me, and I was like, you know what, Coach, I had enough of losing. I think I'm gonna go to Nassau. And I went to Nassau, and then I got a taste of winning, and I loved it. And I was like, this is what it's supposed to be like. And I just worked my butt off to be a starter. And that my last year there, actually, I started 2 years there, and it was like the game just elevated so much. And then when I got to Georgia Tech, it was like, I'm going to take advantage of the situation. NFL was not in my mindset. It wasn't in my graduating was in my mindset. But while I'm playing, I want to be the best version of myself I could be. I'm not just playing for me and to win a game. I'm playing for my mom, I'm playing for my dad, and I'm playing for Brentwood, where I'm from. And I'm representing all those guys from Nassau that deserve to be here that's not here. So I carried that on my sleeve. So I had a little edge on me at that time, you know?
Nice.
So when I got there, it was just like, let's do it. And even after my senior year was over, I was maybe a walk on. I got myself drafted. And I mean, with the help of my agent, but I got myself drafted because I had a knee injury towards the end of the season. I was damaged goods. I came back to play the last game of the season, and I thought my career was over after that. But there was like 5, 6, maybe 10 guys that were supposed to be drafted. So whenever I knew that the scouts were coming to look at them run their 40, I'll be on the other side of the field running my 40. When they went in the weight room to lift weights, I went in the weight room to lift weights. When they were doing the high jump, I just happened to be practicing my high jump. And the guys were, the scouts were like, well, if these are this, who's that over there? And they were like, oh, that's Gary. That's Gary Brown. And let me take a look at him. Now, a month later, now they're coming back to visit me. They're coming back to give me my psych test. They're coming back to have a conversation with me. And I'm like, all right. So out of all of those guys that were supposed to be drafted in the second and first and third round, I was the first one drafted from Georgia Tech that year. And I was so proudful of that. And I didn't even know
Wow.
what it meant. And I was just happy. And I was a fifth round draft pick. I could have been the last pick in the draft and I would have been ecstatic. You know, I would have been happy as a walk on because I
Yeah.
know I'm going to put forth the effort. If I win, lose, or draw, if I made the team or not, I would have been happy. So just take advantage of where you're at when you're there because you never know.
Right on, man. And that's the thing too, is to when opportunity comes, to be ready for it, and also seize opportunities. And that's what you did. I feel like you seized every opportunity you had, and you worked hard and you showcased yourself. And then you were drafted to the Steelers, right, in Pittsburgh. And
Proud Bill Cowher is such a coach and a gentleman. Like he's the real man's man, players coach kind of guy. He never told you to go do something. He says, look, this is how you do it. Watch me. And it's like, wow, who does that? Like, that was pretty remarkable for me. And just being a part of that, being able to practice against Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green every day, Joel Steed, come on, man. That
wow,
doesn't get better
yeah.
than I thought I was ready for the. It's so funny because I thought I was like, practicing against these guys, there's nobody in the NFL that can play with me now. And I was developing. I was going to be put on practice squad. And that's when Green Bay claimed me.
And up front, Gary Brown, the youngster at left tackle, Aaron Taylor, Frank Winters, Adam Timmerman, and Earl Dotson.
And that's when Reggie White taught me that they're not they're good, but I'm just as good, if not better. And I had to learn that lesson my first day in Green Bay. It was so ironic. It was crazy.
Wow, so Reggie White kind of took, the late great Reggie White took a liking to you, and kind of, did he take you under his wing?
He didn't take me under his wing. He kind of taught me by spanking me on my butt. Reggie's Reggie, and he was a seasoned veteran and a great man.
And there's Reggie White, and that's that hump move where he gets his right arm in and just pulls the guy in. Now watch the right arm there. That'll happen a lot when you're blocking Reggie White. Reggie White is the best defensive lineman in the league.
That seems to be pretty much unanimous.
And so I got there the first week of their first game. No prior experience with how a week one of an NFL game day practice week is supposed to go. No prior knowledge. I'm trying this out for the first time. Got out of Pittsburgh in a plane, landed in Chicago, and then took a propeller plane to Wisconsin, where I didn't even know where it was at. A kid from Brentwood. Where the hell is Wisconsin? I don't know where Wisconsin is. I'm like, Ma, when I got to the hotel, it was a two-story, it was more like a motel. And I'm looking at the news, and it's like Green Bay's #1 TV station news. And I'm like, that's across the street. And it's a one-story building with a satellite dish on it. I'm like, where am I? My town is bigger than this city. I'm like, this is the address, this is my phone number, this is what room numbers I'm in. If you don't hear from me every night, come, because I was scared. I didn't know. Like, I went from New York to Atlanta to Pittsburgh, all places I was very comfortable, to Wisconsin. whoa, you know, and it was just one of those things. So the first week, um, first day of practice, my first day on the job, coach puts me in the huddle, says, Gary, they're going to tell you to slow down. Your job is to go 100 miles an hour, or you're going to be on the first plane back to Brentwood. I'm like, you brought me all the way out here to be mean to me? I'm like, I have no problem with going 100 miles an hour. I didn't know everybody else didn't know that and didn't like it. So my first play was against Gilbert Brown. Came off the ball. I hit him in his mouth. He got really upset and was like, somebody teach this rookie how to practice. I got a game to play on Saturday. No clue what he meant by that. Very next play against Gilbert Brown, I tried to come off the ball and hit him in his mouth. Now he leaned into me. And we got to tussling a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm making enemies before I even make one friend. Third play was against Reggie White. They moved me out to tackle. And it was the backside of a sprint out or something like that. So I really just had to cut him off and get in his way. But I'm auditioning for a job. So I don't do that. I take 2 steps that way and I crack back and I hit him with everything I got. Now Reggie's snapping his chin strap tight. He's like, all right, rookie, I got you. Fourth play, pass play. And I remember this like it was yesterday. And I'm like, I've been practicing against Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green. So what, Reggie White? Let's go. Pass set, pass set, pass set. And he got me leaning and then came under me with his rip. And when he lifted me, my toes came off. I'm 320 pounds, jacked, 9% body fat. I'm ready for anything and everybody.
Wow.
And he lifts me off the ground and I'm helpless. I'm in his arms like a baby. My feet, my toes are barely touching. And he really could have just finished and buried me. And he was like, and then he held me and said, now slow down, rookie. And I was like, yes, sir, Mr. White. And I full mood. And then when I got back to the huddle, everybody had a chuckle and they were laughing. And you know, I was the pun of everybody's jokes, but they knew I would go there. And that started getting me some respect and that started getting me some, you know, credibility with would be my fellow players for the next 3-4 years. So that was kind of cool.
64 games or 4 years worth of games, has completed at least 50% of his passes in all but one of those games. But tonight, to this point, he is under 500 at 5 of 11. And with that hard count, he draws a flag and buys a play and throws, and it's fingertipped by Brooks for the catch at the 39-yard line. Brooks and Vincent stride for stride, and the pass laid in there perfectly. Oh, this is
How was it with working with Favre and having to protect him and all that kind of stuff?
He made your job easy because he was the type of person that's like, you know, my job is to protect the quarterback. And if I don't do my job, the quarterback gets hit. And I did everything I can to do my job to the best of my ability. And sometimes, you know, the other guys getting paid too. They make plays. So sometimes he would get hit. And I'd be like, get off my quarterback. My thing was to pick up and I would pick him up. And he'd be like, don't worry, Gary. He hits like my little sister. And I'm like, you know, that's so cool that he never put pressure on me to perform. And not anybody, you know what I mean? He'd be like, come on, we'll get it right. Get it right. We practice this all the time. Like, and that's the kind of person he was. He was a teams player, a gunslinger. You know, you ride for him, he's going to ride for you. And that's what he did. And that's how he was. And that's what the love and the appreciation for Brett, you know. You go down with him. He throws an interception. He saw it. He wanted it, and he went for it. It may not have worked out, but he's going to do that 10 times a game. He's going to give you 2 interceptions, but he's going to give you 4 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what he's about. And, you know, he's very easy, very lovable, a Mississippi guy, you know. Anybody from the South is that kind of person. So it was pretty cool.
How was he behind the scenes? Like, would he take you guys out and all that kind of stuff, and you know, for help for saving his butt and all that?
So we had our moments, you know. Sometimes he'll call me and be like, "Guy, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing. What do you want?" He'd be like, "I'm coming to get you. Let's go for a beer." And he'll come pick you up and we'll go. And I'm thinking we're gonna go sit down and have a beer, but he'll pick me up and we'll go to like a local watering hole and He'll walk in and lock the door, or we'll go in through the back and lock the door, and he'll go behind the bar until the bartenders get on the other side, and he'll serve drinks to everybody all night. And then he'll pay the tab for everybody, and then we'll walk out. And that's the kind of guy that he was, you know. He wasn't buying their love. He was showing them that he supported them, you know, because they supported him. And you know, Wisconsin's that kind of place.
That's one. Uh-oh. Dang it, you called.
I got my most fans I ever got was when I had a bad game, and the game wasn't that bad, but I ended the game with giving up a sack. What looked like, I looked at the guy and was like, "I'm not blocking you, I'm leaving you," and he ran in and hit the quarterback. Meanwhile, we were setting this play up the whole day, and we were setting Minnesota up like we're gonna win. We're gonna win this game and walk off fashion. And it was a screenplay. I was supposed to look at the the tackle, leave him. He's gonna come in, and the quarterback's gonna dump the ball over his head to Dorsey Levens, and he's gonna run the ball into the end zone. Game over. We win. Let's get out of here. The running back went the wrong way. So now the quarterback got nobody to throw it to. He gets sacked, he fumbles, they recover it, we lose. And at the end of the day, the news was, "Gary, you gave up the losing sack, and this happened and that happened. How do you feel? And, you know, what went wrong?" And I could have very easily explained it. I could have very easily threw somebody else under the bus. And I explained it. I said, "You know what? When I have a bad day at work, quarterback gets hit. And when you have a bad day at work as a reporter, you may spell something wrong or you may do something wrong, and that's it." And, you know, it was just one of those things. And then the next day, I had fan mail coming in from everywhere on people just applauding me and how it was great to be a gentleman and how I handled it. And I still get fan mail to the day behind that. And it just showed you the kind of people that Wisconsin is, you know?
That's awesome, and it's good to see that, you know, because from those first days in Wisconsin when you were, you know, nervous, that it really kind of embraced it, and the town has been good to you. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Wisconsin's a very special place. I actually just went back a couple years ago for the first time in like 20 something years, and I did an autograph signing, and I really didn't know how they were going to receive me, and I didn't know what to expect. And I was kind of like scared and nervous, and my palms were sweaty and gut feeling. And so, typical Gary fashion, me and a business partner of mine scheduled a Play for Your Freedom event at the VA hospital, that no matter what happened with the autograph signing, we were going to end on a good note, doing a good deed for the veterans and the veterans dealing with PTSD. And when I got to the autograph signing, there was people that were coming out of the woodwork. "Where have you been? What, you know, we missed you. We love you. This is your home." And actually, I got back my game one helmet that day. Somebody came and put it in front of me.
Wow.
I'm like, "How'd you get this?" And they're like, "Why? Does it look familiar?" And I'm like, "I know this helmet. I put every scar in this thing. This is my helmet." You know? And he was like, "Can you just sign it, put game used on it?" And I felt so bad, but I did it. And he left and came back like an hour later and was like, "You know what, Mr. Brown, I see this helmet means more to you than it does to me. I'm going to gift this to you." And I couldn't find enough things to gift to him. I'm like, "Here, give him this jersey, give him this shirt, give him this thing." I'm like, "Thank you so much." And I have that. It's one of my prideful trophies. So it was awesome to do that.
I see. Are you rocking the ring? This.
Boss, I put it on just for you.
Ah, look at that, man. That is a beautiful thing right there. Green
Yeah,
Bay Packers.
really. And I love it because
That is awesome.
it gives me a platform to do so much in the world, you know, and just having this ring will get me in any door. I still got to perform after I get in the door, but it's a platform that means something to me, and it kind of validates me. And, you know, there's great players that played, you know, 10, 15 years, Pro Bowlers, and in time, people say, "Who are you again?" And they turn around right in front of your face. It happens to me all the time, and they're like, "Let me Google him." "Oh yeah, you are Gary Brown." And it's like,
Right.
what do I get out of, you know, lying to you? But this does validate me, and it kind of puts me in the upper echelon of you know, he did it, and he has the ring to prove it, and I'm very thankful for that. And like I said, a lot of luck goes with it, but you know, hard work and luck go hand in hand. I
Yeah,
couldn't do it
man.
sitting on my bed in Brentwood, crying about I don't want to play that position, and that's you know one of the things I teach the kids.
When you're there in during the Super Bowl and you guys finally win it, is there a moment where you say to yourself, "Man, I'm a kid from Brentwood. Like, how did I get here?"
Funny story about that. Media day is hundreds and thousands of cameras from all over the world, Tokyo, everywhere, and they again, oh, Gary Brown, you're from New York. No, I'm from Brentwood, New York. Make sure you spell it right, and that's where I'm from. But it became a story that I'm a kid from Brentwood, and everybody has their own story, and there's a lot of small town people from Mississippi and what have you, but yeah, it validates everything that happens. Winning that, but winning it is one thing, but then receiving the ring, months later is like, here we go. I wish they could do it the same day because the emotions just overwhelm you. You like, we won, and it was a celebration, and we celebrated all the way that whole night, and then a plane the next day all the way home, and then we got into a bus with no windows in the freezing cold in Wisconsin, and traveled all around the city to a 15-minute ride to the stadium was like a 2-hour ride, and we're dressed in Louisiana gear, so we're freezing, but it was all worth it, and it was all nice just to see the fans and the people pour out all over the city and the streets and just follow the buses. There's nothing, there's no words that can explain it. It's almost surreal because after winning it, it doesn't sink in. You go to bed that night, you get up, you're still celebrating it, and it doesn't sink in. It takes days, it takes weeks, and people are like, we won the Super Bowl. We won the Super Bowl. You keep saying it over and over until it's like, we won the Super Bowl, and every time you say it, it just sinks in a little deeper and a little bit more.
That's like the mecca of sports. That and like the Stanley Cup, but I think the Super Bowl is just so big. It's the American pastime, football, NFL. It's more popular on Sundays than church. And you got to the highest you can get um in professional sports, and that is an enormous accolade. And man, and that ring is beautiful. So that's an amazing thing. And um number being number 68, now you have the Dream 68 Foundation. You kind of take all of this career you've had, and now you're taking it to motivational speaking, mentoring. Take me through a little bit of the Dream 68 Foundation.
So Dream 68 organization is about um, giving back and giving kids the power, the will to dream. Um, I called it Dream 68 because in sixth grade, I had a homework assignment. I had a school assignment of writing down where you want to be when you grow up. And it must have been right the week, a day or two after the Chicago Bears played Monday Night Football, and Jim McMahon came out, and they were getting their butts kicked. And he came out at halftime, and he took his headband off and put it around his neck, and he started a fashion. Like the next day, all the kids are wearing their headbands around their neck, and the basketball courts, and everywhere you went, they had it around their neck. And that inspired me. They went on to win, to do the Super Bowl shuffle and to make videos and to win. It was awesome.
Great,
But
great.
that must have inspired me. But that homework assignment or that school assignment later was mailed to us, like, I don't know, 10, 20 years later. And when I opened that letter to see that it said that I wanted to be a football player, and I was like eye opening. And it was, an emotional moment for me because I was like, wow, I dreamt this, and I would have never known that, and I totally forgot it. I didn't know, and when I got the letter and I saw it, it was like, wow, this is powerful. And I'm like, the power of dreaming, the power of writing things down, and the affirmations of putting yourself in position to be lucky. So my thing is, I teach kids it doesn't matter how big, how crazy, how outlandish your dreams are, they can come true. But you got to put yourself in position for them to come true. And I try and teach them how to dream. Your dream may not be the same as your friend's dream. So you may not be able to do some of the things that your friends want you to do. If they're doing something that's going to take you off course, then you can't do that. Whether that's in school, out of school, when nobody's looking or when everybody's looking. You got to be your own person. You got to be your own man because you have your own dreams. And I talk from experience and I say, like I told you earlier, I don't tell them about what I read or what I heard. I tell them what worked for me.
Right. Yeah.
There's times that there's people that I was hanging out with and they're doing not quite the right thing. And you know what? I'm not no punk, but I can't do that with you because if I get in trouble, I can't play on Sunday or I can't go to Nassau or I can't, I got a scholarship waiting for me, whatever it may be. So the earlier you learn that don't let anybody take you off course and put the pedal to the metal and grind, your dream could be really big, but inch at it, chip at it every day a little bit. So I just try and give kids the power of dreaming and following their dreams. Worst case scenario, if you don't fulfill that dream, you're still going to be in a better place tomorrow than you are today. And so that's what inspired it. But once you start trying to mentor kids, you can't mentor kids when they're hungry. You can't mentor kids, if they're cold in the winter or they're not sleeping at night because of a dysfunctional family, or you can't get mad at them because they got to watch their brother and sister because they got a single family home and they're the big brother or big sister, and so all of these things play in a factor, which went from a mentoring program to just helping underprivileged kids and their families. And we do so much with them, from feeding to clothing to programs to all kinds of stuff. And that's what we do. And I love doing it because um, every once in a while I get you change my son's life or you put him on course to be a better man or he's helping out around the house more. Those things, that means something to me because that is not just changing that kid's life, but it's changing the people's lives around them. And that's what a young man is supposed to do. And so I just try and focus on doing the right thing, putting kids in the best position I could put them in, and throw the chips up in the air, and wherever they lay, they lay. But yeah, I take a lot of pride in that.
And you should, because it's amazing what you're doing and it's so important what you're doing, and it means a lot to them to have a guy like you, Super Bowl champion, a guy who's from Brentwood, a guy who's worked his whole life to get to the prize, the greatest trophy there is in sports, and to hear and for you to come back and talk to these kids and tell them, look, you could do this too. It's the power of dreams, the power of positive thinking, work ethic, all of those types of things. I think is extremely important, and I think it's says a lot about you as a human being and you as a celebrity and an athlete, that you take the time and are doing this. So kudos. And how, yes, sir. And how can people help out with the Dream 68 organization?
Donate, donate, donate. Whether it's time, money, clothes, experience, energy, whatever it may be. You know, it's easy around the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. Those are easy holidays because everybody get the give back, that give back bug in them. But people need help year round, and there's not enough money, there's not enough energy, there's not enough time to do this all year round. As soon as you fill up the pot, it gets empty because there's always a need, there's always a draw, there's more going out than putting in. Um, so whether it's with me or with somebody else, there's people that are hurting all over the place. And the funny thing about Long Island is that you could go to the city and you could see the homeless problem because it's right there in your face. It's in the doorways, it's in the alleys, it's there. You see it. You see people sleeping everywhere. But here on Long Island, if you're not paying attention, you would never think there's a homeless problem. You walk around, you drive around, you don't see it.
Right.
But in the back of these factories, in the back of the middle of the woods, near the train tracks, there's hundreds and thousands of people sleeping outside year round. A couple years ago, I thought it was 1,800 meals coming, and they sent me a tractor trail of 18,000 meals. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh my God, what am I going to do with this? Do you know, as soon as I started reaching out, that trailer was empty within 2.5 days.
Wow.
I didn't think I could get rid of 1,800 meals in 2.5 days. I got rid of, but that opened up my eyes even more on how much we were taking truckloads out east and out west. And as we were taking them, the lines were getting longer and longer. And I'm like, where are these people coming from? And they're like, oh, they live all back there. And I'm like, get out of here.
Wow.
And it opened up my eyes to the need of what us as people that take for granted and throw things away. You know, I'm not saying that you got to do everything, save everything and pass it on. But when you're throwing something of good quality out, think about somebody else that might need it. Or when you have a little extra, think about somebody who might need it. And if you don't know what to do with your money, you don't know what to do with your clothing, you don't know what to do with your experience, come donate to me. GaryBrownDream68.com. That website would tell you about all the things that I got to update it, but it'll tell you about most of the things that we're doing. I'm doing so much more now, so everything's not on there yet. But it'll show you, and you can always hit the donate button. Money gives us the ability to buy, share, forward so many different resources, and we have it. I get meals at cost. Actually, I have a couple of restaurants that do catering, and now after a catering event, instead of throwing all the food out that's not being taken, we got to-go meals and to boxes, and we send the crew in, they box all the meals up, and we got different destinations that we drop it off to give some people a hot meal.
Wow.
And that means more to people that eat, out of a cup every day, or eat something cold or out of the garbage, because it does happen here on Long Island. We just don't see it.
Wow. Yes, everybody, please go to Gary Brown, dream68.com, and if you can donate, that'll be fantastic. Gary, I really appreciate this. We got to get you in studio over there, Governors. We have a nice studio in Governors Comedy Club in the back, and
Yes.
it'll be awesome to get you out there and kind of go through all the stuff. And there's so much more stuff I wanted to talk to you about, but the
I know
hour flew
time
by.
flies.
Yes, indeed. But thank you so much. One of the Brentwood greats. Appreciate you, Gary. Again, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and all that stuff.
www.GaryBrownDream68.com is my website. You can always email me at GaryBigBrown68@gmail.com. Any questions, concerns, riffs, whatever you got, bring it to me. We could work it out. I'm an easy guy. I'm all about giving back, doing what I do, and I don't do it for any other reason but for the feel good of my heart, for the other people, and to make my mama proud. Don, I appreciate you so much for giving me the opportunity and the platform. I'm hoping that this is our first, but not our last, because you're very interesting yourself. I would love to switch the camera around and let you talk a little bit more about what you do and how you do it, because we're both from Brentwood, and to make it to the levels that you make it at, interviewing the people that you interview, you made a name for yourself, and that means something. And you didn't do that by being lazy and sitting on your butt. So there's a lesson that the people can learn from you as well. So I appreciate you. And Brentwood alumni, stand up. Thank you.
Brentwood, Yes, indeed. It's an honor. Thank you so much for all those kind words, and the feeling was definitely mutual, my friend. And I just wish we knew each other in during high school. We must have passed in the hallways a million times, and maybe I was just like,
I was always running over there. I had metal shop over there with actually Eric Sermon. That's so funny. That's so
yeah,
we talked about that earlier. But yeah, I wish, man, and we probably did. We just, I don't. I got hit ahead a couple times playing football, so maybe some things are a little loose up there. But it doesn't matter. We can reconvene now, and we can enjoy each other's company, and talk about some of the good old days whenever you want. Thank you.
yes, indeed, bro. We got to get you in the studio. Thank you so much, Gary Brown. Everybody, he's the best.
Thank you, Don. Thank you so much, bro.